For staying with us here on SA Today. The big story, of course, it's the announcement by President Cyril Ramaphosa on the launch on government's initiative to improve the provision of sanitation infrastructure, mostly in rural areas. The announcement was made earlier this morning. Let's now take the discussion further and talk to Samantha Brener. She is an education attorney from Section 27. As you may recall, that Section 27 had actually highlighted the infrastructure crisis in public schools 10 years before the tragic death of Michael Komape. Samantha, good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Now, just before we get your reaction on the President's announcement earlier, let's just, start by letting you paint us a picture on the crisis really that we are facing in terms of the lack of sanitation around schools in South Africa.
Yeah, I mean, it really, crisis is the correct word. We all these years after democracy in South Africa still have situations in schools where there are thousands of schools which still have pit toilets, and we're talking, literally holes in the ground where little children are having to use to go to the loo, with often, as is in the case with Michael Komape, crumbling seats, and so it's incredibly dangerous for them. Often children have to use toilets in bushes because they aren't sufficient. And
in some
it's
instances,
inconceivable.
these facilities are not even available.
Often. They really, there's one or two, sometimes they're not available, and it's just incredibly dangerous. We think it's a really fundamental, basic thing that should be remedied by now.
But do you really think government is taking this issue seriously, if I may say? Because I remember very well that Section 27 had actually given a warning to the Department of Basic Education to say, listen, this is a crisis and intervention is urgently needed. That was 10 years before the death of Michael Komape.
Yes, absolutely. We've been working on this for some years now. Since at least 2012, Section 27 has been writing to the departments, highlighting these issues, highlighting the danger, asking for audits.
What were the responses, by the way? What was the response like?
So a good example for you is we asked for an audit back in 2012. The school that this is anecdotal, but it helps to give an idea of the response. The school that Michael Komape went to was not on that audit that we received. We then pushed and wrote, and then by 2013 the school made it onto that list, but nothing was done. And then in 2014, that was the year that Michael died. So we absolutely believe that this issue isn't receiving the kind of urgent attention that it should be. And so while we appreciate initiatives like SAFE to get stakeholders to work together, we are not seeing enough urgency.
Let's talk about that SAFE initiative. I'm convinced that it will go a long way in terms of addressing these problems.
So we were disappointed, to be honest. The initiative comes off the back of a directive from the President to the Minister of Basic Education, which happened in March. And the instruction was to do an urgent audit of the state of sanitation in schools, and to, within 3 months of that announcement in March, to come out with an urgent plan on making schools safe, taking away the danger for children. That 3-month period expired in June. And we still, to date, we still haven't seen a plan. We had hoped that this initiative would provide details of that audit and a concrete plan, which we could then see what the plans were to eradicate danger. And we haven't seen that kind of detail. It didn't come out this morning either.
That is exactly what many people are saying, that there isn't really a concrete plan.
Absolutely.
In addressing these issues. It was just a mere humble appeal by the President to the private sector to say, come on board and address this. But part of the announcement made earlier was that nearly 4,000 schools across South Africa are still being subjected to pit latrines or are with inappropriate sanitation facilities. Do you think these are the numbers? I mean, you've done a lot of groundwork before as Section 27. You have been exposed to the dire situation. Do you really believe in this number? Could it be accurate, maybe?
Numbers is one of the things we're very worried about in respect of this, because just this year there've been a number of different numbers which have come out in terms of knowing how many pit toilets there are across the country. So 8,000, 4,000. until we see details of how this audit was conducted, we are very worried about trusting that number. We don't know whether it's correct or not, particularly since numbers that have come from the department itself have differed over time, and we're not sure why. And so it's crucial, because one needs to have accurate data on exactly how many toilets in schools there are in order to plan, in order to budget.
All right. So are you going to engage the department in the audit?
Absolutely. We will be looking to see the details of what's in that, so that we can get a sense of how that was done.
All right. I suppose we'll wait and see what happens. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there we have it, Samantha. Thank you so much indeed for coming through, talking to us about President Cyril Ramaphosa's earlier announcement. Samantha Brener, she's an education attorney from Section 27.